What's going on, YouTube? Metal Complex here, and welcome to episode 3 of my Quest for the Perfect Folding Knife mini-series. I can't believe we're already on episode 3. If you're not aware, I do this every Sunday. This is a 6-part mini-series where I go through all of the different aspects of a folding knife that I look for when choosing a new folding knife for myself, as well as kind of, what if I could create the ultimate folding knife, or as we called it in episode 2, Excalibur, which is a play on the thumbnail, what it would look like. And, we'll get to that in the final episode. But today we're going to talk about the ideal blade shape. There is a playlist on my channel where I talk or where I show each episode in order. So if you want to go back and watch episode 1 and 2 first, you can certainly do that. They'll all be together. Before we continue, if you have not done so already, go to the description of this video, and there's a link to Nick Shabazz's channel where he is currently hosting a Best New Gear Reviewer on YouTube contest. My channel, along with 49 others, have been submitted into this contest, and we each have a video that we have submitted to represent our channels. If you're enjoying my content, it would mean the world to me if you would go and fill out a form kind of critiquing me and talking about what you like or don't like about my channel. I would really appreciate that. While you're there, you should definitely do the same for the other channels that have taken time to submit content for that contest. I'm sure it would mean the world to them as well. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into this discussion here. So I'm going to lay out a bunch of knives on the table, as I usually do in this series. Just lay a whole bunch of stuff out and start talking. I'm also going to see if we can do something about the lighting here, just a little bit. Can we make the lighting a little bit better? I promise you there are some quality of life improvements coming to this channel in terms of lighting and all that stuff. But let's do, what's another good one here to transition into my point, pun intended, and maybe this one, and let's conclude with this one. Okay, so we've got a whole bunch of different knives here and a bunch of different blade shapes. We've got the Beg Knives 3/4 Quaken, that's Steelcraft series. We've got the Cold Steel Tough Light. We've got the Kaiser Mini Sheepdog. We've got the Microtech SOCOM Elite. We've got the Spyderco Paramilitary 2. We have the Hinder XM18 3.5 Fatty Harpoon Tanto. And we have the coveted Spyderco Manix 2. Now, these are all cool blade shapes. They all have pros and cons. Some more obvious than others. I am not enough of a professional on blade shapes and blade geometry to tell you why or why not you might want to choose any particular blade shape. But what I can say is I have enough experience with the blade shape that I have come to like to be able to definitively say that it's the one for me. The upswept scimitar style blade shape it's really cool to look at, but there's just simply not enough room for the blade to drop readily towards the edge. No matter what thickness you start with, you're always going to have a thinner, more capable edge with a taller blade. Now, that's not always ideal, I realize, but for me, mixing in aesthetics and, where I would want the starting thickness of the blade, which is probably 145 to 155 thousandths, we'll get to that. Ideally for strength in a flat, and while still maintaining the ability to drop the edge towards the cutting edge in order to make it thin behind the edge, a blade shape like that just isn't going to do it for me. Now, it's a lot more, in like the Cold Steel Tough Light, it's not super thick. You've got a wide flat that makes it plenty strong, maintaining the thickness that the blade has out pretty far. The problem is that while this is a great blade shape for like opening packages and boxes and things like that, it's not ideal. I mean, it's kind of like leaning all towards one thing, and it's not going to be good at any knife can probably be good at a multitude of different things, but for me, I don't consider this style of blade, this Wharncliffe style blade, to be ideal for everything. Kaiser Mini Sheepdog, love how this thing looks. Love the cleaver style blades. But again, it's kind of the same way that I feel about the the Cold Steel Tough Light. You know, it's just not going to be ideal for a lot of stuff. I don't want to make it seem like I'm dismissing this. This is a great knife. If you haven't watched my review on this, go watch it because I had a lot of good things to say about it. Microtech SOCOM Elite. The biggest problem with this knife is that the blade is simply too big, but we're getting closer here. It's a drop point style blade. It kind of still just it's too long. We have a crazy amount of thickness here, 187 thousandths or a fifth of an inch basically. It gets plenty thin behind the edge, but I just, in terms of what I want from strength and cutting ability, that blade shape overemphasizes qualities that I'm not interested in. Too much in strength, not enough in cutting performance. The Spyderco PM2 is a great example of a knife that almost entirely favors cutting performance. You have no flat. This is a flat ground blade, so it drops immediately off the spine. So what you end up with is one of the most slicey blades in EDC or common EDC knife history. Unfortunately, because there is no flat, you end up with what I like to call a Spyderco splinter getter. Very pointy, very ready to break off. There's nothing wrong with the PM2. That's a great blade shape. A lot of people like it, but it's not 100% what I want. Tantos, I don't really like how Tantos look. This one has a enormous flat. Look how far out the flat on this guy carries. Strength, I mean, this is a Rick Hinderer. These are known for being, very strong. On top of that, this is a fatty, so another 187 thousandths thick blade. Same blade thickness as the SOCOM Elite, except the Hinderer actually looks even thicker because that spine is it's so meaty, And that's great. But, the geometry down to the cutting edge, not an enormous amount of room to get down super thin behind the edge. Now, this is David's knife, and he loves this knife, and he beats on it, and that's great. It's just never going to be a cutting machine. Now, what's left here is not the only knife that I'm going to use as an example of a blade shape that I like, because the Manix 2 still has flaws. But look how the belly starts out. We're going to talk about the whole blade. This thing is all belly. It doesn't start straight and then come up. It's a lot like the PM2. PM2 does the same thing. It's just belly. Dragging that blade through material is what gives the PM2 and the Manix 2 its slicing ability. It's already curving into the material, and that's great. Now, this is not a super thick blade, which works to the Manix 2's slicing ability. But again, like the PM2, it has no flat. So it has the same problem in terms of the tip. Now, aesthetically, though, I find the Manix 2 to be more appealing. There's a little bit more material reinforcing the tip on the Manix 2 than there is the Spyderco Paramilitary 2. I don't know exactly which one's going to be more likely to break. They're both pretty thin. I don't know. But as far as the general shape, we're much closer here. Now, evolve that a little bit further. Let's use the Ritter Hogue. There we go. Okay, so the Ritter Hogue doesn't have the part of the blade that starts out with curvature or belly. It goes straight and curves up towards the tip. But it does have a little bit of a flat here. Now, the nice thing about the Ritter Hogue blade is you've got a little bit of a flat, maintaining some additional thickness out a little bit further, so you have a more robust tip. Can we focus? Can we focus? It's so hard to get this thing to focus the way that I want it to. Okay, there's that. Now let's turn them this way. See what I mean? A little bit thicker behind the tip. That's the benefit there. So we're closer here because everybody knows this Ritter blade is nice and thin behind the edge and it's very slicey, but I'd like some more of that. I'd like some more of that belly, kind of like how we have in the Manix 2. Let's bring out one of the shining stars of this. Let's bring out the Hinderer XM18. Now, this particular XM18 is a Harpoon Spanto, again, heavily favoring strength, right? This one has the Harpoon notch, but like the Manix 2, the thing that I like about it is that it's got that choil. We didn't talk about that in the Manix 2. We've got a choil here, a finger choil, that allows you to choke right up on the blade. Now, the Manix 2 has that little nub down there, right? And that keeps your finger from riding up onto the blade. Some people don't like how this is set up because there's no sharpening choil right there. I'd imagine, that it could probably easily be created. Oh, we've got a phone call here. Let me go ahead and decline that because I'm talking. Anyways, moving on here. Talking about the choil here on the Hinder XM18. I like it, but there's nothing really to stop your finger from riding up on that blade. I really like this blade shape. I love the emphasis on strength. It's not quite as fat as the Fatty. This one's 165 thousandths, if I can find the Fatty, versus the Fatty's 187 thousandths. So it slices just a little bit better. It's not a Tanto either, so it's got that belly. Mega emphasis, though, on strength. You know, we're still getting close there. I want to bring out one more blade before I kind of make my point here. Because, again, we're trying to keep these videos between 10 and 15 minutes. They probably never will be. But anyways, the Spyderco Shaman. This is one of the best darn blade shapes I've ever seen. Look what we've got going on here. Nice and tall. 145 thousandths thick blade, so the same starting thickness as the PM2, but again, the tip is much more robust thanks to a flat that carries out about 55% the length of the blade and then starts to taper towards the tip. But you still have that height that allows it to drop readily towards the cutting edge, making it more slicey than the Hinder XM18, a little less than the Manix 2 and the Ritter Hogue. But you've still got nice belly, and you have that choil that allows you to get right up close to the blade. You've got that little nub that keeps you from carrying over onto the blade or riding your hand or your finger up and cutting yourself on the blade. So this is my thought. These are all more or less drop point style blades. I realize the Hinder XM18 is a harpoon style blade. They're essentially drop point blades. You get the slicing ability in most of them. 3 out of the 4 you're getting strength. You have like a more of a puncture tip than say the Wharncliffe or Sheep's Foot style blades, but not so much emphasis on a puncture tip that you're losing out in the ability or you're losing out in reinforcement or tip strength. To me, the drop point blade, and it's almost like you took 12 minutes to say that the drop point's your favorite blade. Yeah, I'm sorry I did. But I had to lead into it. I want you guys to know how I arrived at that conclusion. You know, yeah, the drop point is a lot of people's favorite blades, but here's where I want to take it a step further. I don't believe the perfect blade shape exists in a knife yet for me. I don't think there's a blade out there that's absolutely perfect. But man, if I had to forge it, or create it, I would be using these 4 blades right here to create it. I want the initial curvature right out of the gate, that starting belly from the Manix 2. And I want the thumb ramp, the uprising thumb ramp from the Manix 2 and the Ritter Hogue. We didn't talk about that. I like this position here, how I can choke up and push my thumb forward into that jimping, locking it in just ever so slightly better than it being perfectly flat up here with the jimping on the Shaman or the Hinder XM18. I like that ramp, right? But I also want a little bit of a flat up top so I can get some strength out here, you know? So I want the belly immediately. I want a little bit of a flat. I want the ramp right there. But I want enough of a flat that I'm going to have strength, reinforcement in the tip, but not so thick like the XM18. Just like this, the Shaman. The Shaman is so close. It's almost there. What the Shaman's missing is the initial belly curvature of the Manix 2 and the rising thumb ramp right here. So essentially the components of these 4 blades all mixed together. 3.5 inches of perfect drop point. In my opinion, that is the perfect blade shape. Now, I'll talk about thumb studs and thumb holes in deployment and ease of manipulation, which is definitely on here. That's actually the next episode, if you take a look, number 4. But that was what I wanted to talk about today, was why I feel so strongly about the drop point and what the ultimate drop point might be. You know, if I could take 4 knives, in this case, the XM18, the Ritter Hogue, the Manix 2, and the Shaman, and match them together and create this perfect blade, these are the knives that would create it for me. And some of you are going to go, you're full of crap, you're an idiot, you don't know what you're talking about. And some of you, I think, might echo what I'm saying. You might agree with me. Maybe you would use different knives to create your ultimate blade shape, but these are the 4 that I would use for myself. If you're still here, I didn't point this out at the beginning of the video like I usually do, but this isn't, I don't want you guys to take this as me saying every other blade shape is not perfect and the only perfect blade shape is the one that I'm describing. No, that's not true at all. The perfect blade shape is different for every single person because we all use our knives for different things. For me, this, based on my experience with folding knives, this would be the perfect blade shape for me. Don't take it as set in stone or as a my word is law type of thing. I just thought you guys might be interested to hear how I arrived at this conclusion. But anyways, that is going to be pretty much it for today's video. I'm really happy you guys are enjoying this series. Everybody who has commented has said that they're really enjoying this series and they're interested to see where it's going. And I'm happy that you guys are interested in this because this is really fun for me to do. It really helps to be able to talk about this. It's like all of this stuff fills my head throughout the week, and I want to talk about it with somebody, and I'm so thankful for the success of this channel because I have all of you guys to talk about this stuff with. So anyways, there's the episode order. Next week, we'll talk about deployment and manipulation. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like. So please check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, then please subscribe to my channel because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, and have a great day.